Okay, welcome to the meeting of the Lancaster School District Board of Trustees. And we were going to reconvene at 6:06. And there was no action taken during closed session. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. You may be seated. And we would like to start with the ACES Awards.
Good evening. It's always my pleasure once a month to be able to come to the board and present to you ACES Awards. It's a recognition of people in our Lancaster School District who have achieved a culture of exceptional service. And tonight we have one person, one strong but mighty person to recognize this evening. And I'd like to invite up Linda Green and the Sunnydale contingency here to recognize her as well. Amanda, come on up. I know Dr. Wood is here. I thought I saw Jenny Morawski's here. So it's nice when you've got some... Linda, come on up here. Come on up here. I'm going to read some nice things about you, okay? So I'll let you face the board. Let me give this to you so you can hold that. So do you know who nominated you for this award? Yes, the lady holding the flowers. Isn't that nice? So this is what Amanda had to say about you. She said, I would like to nominate Linda Green, Sunnydale's night custodian, though her title should be Night Ninja. You could make a shirt. Wouldn't that be cool? And then you could say like minor night ninja and sell them to the others. This is what it says about you. It says, Miss Linda, as we call her, is amazing at what she does. She truly goes above and beyond in her daily workload. Aside from the work that she and the other night custodian, Mr. Williams, did this summer, she is constantly doing something to help out at Sunnydale. From helping to trap raccoons, to switching out chairs so each teacher has a matching classroom set, to making sure desks are all the same height. She truly does it all. In fact, a snippet of a text I just received from her said, if it's that important to you all, talking about the teachers, I make the time. I, along with our staff, would like to recognize her for taking care of Sunnydale and doing her nightly ninja work. Will you all join me in recognizing and appreciating Linda for all that she does? But you're not at Sunnydale anymore, are you? You are. I was given some bad information. I won't tell you from who. But Linda, thank you for all that you do. Join me, please, in recognizing her. And thank you to you all. There. Oh. Say cheese. Say the red one. Take the cheese. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Fantastic work. And especially with those raccoons. Those are tricky. Sure. Next, we have our enrollment report. Rebecca Cooksey.
Good evening, board. The last time I reported to you, I was counting warm bodies, and so our numbers have gone up, so you'll be happy with this number. For our UTK through 8th grade, we have 13,921 students. In ECE, we have 479, for a grand total of 14,400 students. This is a gain of 601 students from the last board report, and a gain of 197 from the same time last year.
Great news. Fantastic. Do we have any other informational items? Okay. That brings us to presentations, requests, proposals, and reports. Item 11A, 21-22 unaudited actuals and 22-23 budget update by Isabel Alatorre, Director of Fiscal Services.
Good evening. I'm here to present the 21-22 unaudited actuals, and I think it's relevant to refer that these are not budget. This is what actually happened and is recorded on the general ledger in the fiscal year 21-22. I would like to report first all the unrestricted resources in millions. As you can see on the left-hand side, we are reporting the revenues received in the fiscal year 21-22. The total revenues were 171.63 million, which comes with LCFF 166.90 million. That's the biggest unrestricted revenue received by the district. Then we have the state with 2.94 million and the local 1.79 million. I put on the right-hand side the expenditures recorded. These are everything that happened on the unrestricted resources in our district. We paid salaries and benefits of a total amount of 110.35 million. We paid supplies and services, liquidating them for 18.38 million. We have other outgo, and as you can see, this is a negative figure of 480,000, which represents minus 0.48 million. Let me tell you a little bit about that one. It is negative because we are entitled to charge indirect costs to all the resources on the restrict side that we run the programs for. For instance, if we run Title I, we are entitled to charge a total of 6.54% of the expenditures that are recorded in Title I. And it's the same for ESSER 3, for ESSER 2, for CRF. So all the resources that are restricted, most of them allow us to charge our indirect cost, which is 6.54 for the fiscal year 21-22. We also paid excess costs, which is we pay to PAMDL for a special ed. It's a percentage. I don't know the exact percentage, but when you add them together, it's 3 million and something and 2 million something. It comes down to minus 0.48 million. So that's considered a positive expenditure, not a negative. And then we have a contribution to the special ed resource. As we all know, special ed is underfunded. So we have to contribute from the unrestricted resources to the restricted resources. So the total amount on expenditures were 154.01 million. As you can see in the middle, I put up an arrow going up of 17.62 million. That's the effect that we have into ending fund balance. So it increased by 17.62 million. This is unusual. And this is because we received at the end of the year, I don't know if you guys remember, we received the increase in LCFF. Now we go to the restricted bucket. The restricted bucket in millions as well. I put on the left-hand side the revenues and the contributions. The revenues on the federal bucket, and this is all one-time funding as well, 46.48 million. Then the state, 23.89 million. The local, 15.7 million. And the contribution, as you can see, the same amount that we have from the unrestricted, and now it is on the restricted. Then so the total amount of revenues and contribution is 111.83 million. Now the expenditures on the right-hand side. We paid salaries and benefits of 58.9 million. We paid supplies and services of 26.92 million. And the other outgo is 6.68 million. Remember, I told you that there's an indirect cost and then there is the excess cost. This is the other outgoing. So it's going from here to the unrestricted. So the total amount of expenditures on the restricted resources in millions were 92.50 million. So there's also an increase on the ending fund balance for the restricted resources, in which is 19.33 million. Any questions so far? No? Okay, good. All right. So, I'm sorry. So now I would like to talk about the funding balance, the end fund balance and the beginning fund balance. Everything is in millions. So as of July 1st, 2021, the beginning fund balance for the unrestricted was 31.28 million. That's how we started the year 21-22. And the restricted bucket had 13.85 million. So the total combined at the beginning of the year as of July 1st was 45.13 million. Now, I just went over with you on the increases on every ending fund balance, correct? The unrestricted increased by 17.62 million, leaving us at 48.9 million. Now, the restricted increased by 19.33 million, giving us an ending fund balance as of June 30th of 33.18 million. The total combined ending fund balance for the fiscal year 21-22 is 82.08 million. Out of that, from the unrestricted, we have the board reserve of 6%, which is 13.15 million. We are required by the state to put aside 3%. This figure includes the 3%. So the net ending balance after the reserve is 35.75 million. Please note that the restricted ending fund balance will not allow us to do a reserve. Therefore, we carried over 33.18 million. I would like to go over what are the components of those 33.18 million. So the 33.18 million are confirmed from resources. You can read the resource on the left-hand side. Those are the resource numbers. And then the description of the resources are on the middle. And then the unaudited actuals, total ending fund balance, are on the right. Please note that these resources, these funds are restricted. Therefore, we have to abide the allowable expenditures on each resource. As you can see, the last two, it says other restricted state, 7810. That's for the literacy grant block. And then the 9010, other restricted local for 6.8 million, that's for the medical option. So it's restricted as well. Any questions so far? Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's all I have to report on the 21-22 unaudited actuals. I would like to go over now. I know we're not used to this, but I like to come every time that there's something different to share with you. And last time when I give you an update about the income that we received revenue from the LCFF, I told you that I was not able to prepare a multi-year projection because there was so many factors that influence and so many things that were not yet set in stone. So now I did prepare a multi-year projection and a budget update, which I like to go over with you. Thank you. All right. So here to present the 22-23 budget update. This is as of today. The updates that I will go over with you is the LCFF revenue comparison from the governor's proposed budget to the governor's adopted budget. Then I will go over with the budgeted revenues, budgeted expenditures, the multi-year projection, and then we'll open for questions. Okay. This is beautiful. So the 22-23 comparison revenue in millions. On the left-hand side, this is how I build the budget. This is how we approve our budget. And that's called the proposed budget. Our revenue on the base LCFF was 121.32. Now on the adopted budget, please follow on the right-hand side. The base is 131 million. So there's an increase of 9.68 million just in base. Now we go to the concentration bucket, which is we budgeted at 26.77 when we built the budget, and now it's 31.82 million. So there's an increase in concentration of 5.05 million. The supplemental bucket, we budgeted at 21.4 and now it's 24.01. There's an increase in supplemental of 2.61 million. So there's a total increase from the proposed budget to the adopted budget on LCFF of 17.35 million. I know I went over with you on this, but I wanted to go again and tell you exactly the numbers because now these are set in stone. And I built the multi-year projection so I can show you. Remember, I promised you that there was not going to be a deficit spending this fiscal year? Okay, so get ready. So the 22-23 revenues in million. Total revenues, 287.89 million, which are 131 in base LCFF. Then we put together supplemental and concentration. That's how we reported. And it's 55.83 million. From the federal, and this is all one-time monies and everything, 51.83 million. State, 39.28 million. And local, 9.95 million. So total revenues, 287.89. Look at the expenditures. Total expenditures, this is budgeted, 287.89. So it's exactly the same that we received because we built the budget having a deficit spending of 17 million. Remember? And because we received those 17 million, so now we don't have a deficit spending. Okay, so let me go over with the budgeted expenditures for 22-23. We budgeted certificated salaries at 88.79 million, classified salaries at 46.7 million, employee benefits for both buckets of 52.23 million. So that gives us a total in salaries and benefits of 187.72 million. I actually put the percentage representing on the total amount, which is 65.20. And I don't know if you might remember in prior years, salaries and benefits were 85%, 80%. Okay, it's not because our salaries and benefits have decreased. Not indeed. It's because we received one-time funding and we have to spend them and budget them on supplies, on books, and on services. We don't budget one-time funds in salaries and benefits. Therefore, our other expenditures are 110.17 million, which represents at this time, and this is not going to happen once all the one-time funds are sunset, is 34.80%. Any questions? This is a live document. Remember, it changes. So maybe you're not used to seeing Ruby every time here, but you will see me because I'm new and I would like to keep you informed in anything that changes. Any questions so far?
That was very exciting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now this is my baby, the multi-year projection. This is in millions. All right, so remember we have to budget all the revenues on the first year. We have to budget as an expenditure, okay? On the restricted side. So the beginning fund balance, remember, 82.08 million. It's all in millions because we put restricted and unrestricted all together. Remember what was our ending fund balance on the prior presentation? 82.08 million. So it carries forward to beginning fund balance. Now, the revenues we're receiving this fiscal year is 287.89. Now, the salaries and benefits on the expenditures, we spent 187.72 and all other expenditures are 110.17. So the total expenditures are 287.89, exactly the same as the revenues, 287.89. Therefore, our beginning balance is 82.08. The net increase or decrease is 0. There's no effect to the beginning balance. We didn't touch it. Now, I have to go over with you on the components of the ending fund balance. It's important. the components are the restricted, the 33.18 that I went over with you. Remember all the restricted resources? Okay, now we have commitments. We approved, when we presented the budget, we approved the textbook adoption commitment, which is 2.25 million, and then the following year, 2.25 million. Now, we remember when I prepared the budget, when we did the initial budget, I told you that the things that were not included on my budget were technology and small programs. Okay, so because we didn't budget it for, I put it as a commitment. So we have a technology replacement commitment of 3 million. Then we have an early literacy commitment of 1 million. Then we have the HVAC fourth phase commitment for 10.6 million. The UTK startup 19 classrooms commitment 3.3. And that leaves us a reserve for economic uncertainties of 28.75 million. So our reserve represents 10% of our expenditures, which is perfect. We meet the 3%. We actually overpass the 3%. And after meeting the 3%, we still have available 20.11 million. Now, let's talk about the middle year. The middle year, we take the ending fund balance, which is the 82.08 million, and we put it as a beginning balance. Now, the revenues that we are projecting to receive in 23-24, 250.88. Wait, Maria, is decreasing. Yes, indeed. It's decreasing by 37.01 million. Why? Because we're not budgeting there the one-time fund money. Why? Because it needs to be budgeted. Remember, I started like that. We have to budget on the first year. So the second year, we don't account for it. We will have some, because it's not, the one-time funding is not sunsetting until September 30th of 2024. So it will roll over still, but we cannot anticipate. We have to budget 100%. That's best accounting practices. Now, the expenditures on the second year are 193.89 on salaries and benefits, and all other expenditures are 82.66. All other expenditures are being decreased because of the one-time funding, the one-time money that we received. We're not receiving it on the middle year, so we're only budgeting what we normally budget. Remember, it's just a projection. It's not a budget yet. It's just a projection. Then our beginning fund balance is 82.08. Now, the net increase, here it is 25.67 million. Why, Maria? Well, because we have to liquidate the one-time fund money. So we will be on deficit spending on that year. As you can see, the restricted bucket went down from 33.18 to 19.07. And we still have the technology, the textbook adoption commitment for 2.25. So our reserve for economic uncertainties for that middle year is 35.09 million. The reserve then available is 12.69%. So we meet the 3% state require and more. So we end the middle year with an ending fund balance after the reserve and after the restricted of 26.79. Now we're going to go to the third year. Remember, all these are projections. Just the only one that is budget is the first year. So the last year, the beginning fund balance is the prior ending fund balance for 23-24. We roll it over into the beginning fund balance of 56.41 as a beginning balance. The revenue that we are projecting to receive is 257.85. It's going up now because everything's supposed to be going back to normal. And then the salaries and benefits are 197.66, which is a 2% step and column increase. And then we have all other expenditures of 73.83. So total expenditures are 271.49. We do have a deficit spending again because we have to spend all the one-time funding. So our beginning balance on the third year is 56.41. The net decrease is 13.64 million. So we end with 42.77. Please take a look at the restricted. It ends with 12.6 million. And that's because all the one-time fund monies are sunsetting in September 30th, 2024. Now, we end the reserve for economic uncertainties with 30.17 million. So our available reserve is 11.11%. So we meet the 3% and we end with 22.03 million after the state required reserve. So take a look at the bottom line of the multi-year projection and see how even though at the first year is 20.11, the second year is 26.79, but the third year is 22.03. So it went up after liquidating all the restricted resources. So our district will meet the 3% state required reserve all 3 years, and the Lancaster School District is fiscally, so can we move this please so I can read it? Oh, it says the Lancaster School District is fiscally solvent on the current and the 2 subsequent fiscal years. Great news. Great news. I'm so happy to be the person that is talking. Now the assumptions, maintaining fiscal solvency and monitoring deficit spending. Even though we don't have a deficit spending on the first year, we can't just lay down our guard. We have to be always making sure that we assign all the resources to the best programs that we have and the ones that give the most benefit to our students. The district prioritizes and allocates resources effectively to support all goals while maintaining fiscal responsibility and building fiscal sustainability. That's the word. We have to sustain it. We have to make sure that we take care of the resources and spend the resources on a very responsible manner. And that's what we're doing. The district is committed to implementing expenditure reduction and or revenue enhancement to eliminate the Lancaster School District instructional budget deficit and maintaining financial solvency in the fiscal year 22-23 and the 2 subsequent years. A review of all programs. Remember, this is our commitment. We told you this when we built the budget, and we are doing it. And I will report better numbers in the first interim. A review of all programs, services, supplies, obligations, and costs will also take place to identify those of most benefit to our students prior to filing the first interim. Staffing analysis. Review position control and staffing levels for management, classified and certificated staffing, including teachers' ratios to implement cost reductions and better efficiencies district-wide. Any questions?
Oh, fantastic report.
Thank you.
Ruby's really excited to hear. That's great.
Yeah, she's happy and she's proud.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, I had a question. When do you submit these numbers to is it to the county or to the state?
Yes, as soon as you guys approve it, then I have to send it that file in my book.
Fantastic. Yeah, great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. And the report was very easy to follow and understand too. So thank you for that. Okay, with that, we have next item, item 11B, new teacher support with Renee Rubio, induction and PAR facilitator.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm Krista Thompson. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. And it is my honor to be here tonight with Renee Rubio, our esteemed induction facilitator. I'm kind of stepping in for Michelle Lambeth this evening. She couldn't be with us, so I'm going to do my best to do her part well. But we're going to get started this evening with an update on our new teacher support in the Lancaster School District. So very, very proud of this program, but we have a few things to tell you in terms of some things we've done this year, give you a little bit of data about what we're dealing with, and then talk about our accreditation process happening at the end of this year. So first of all, I want to share with you our new Teacher Summer Academy that happened this past July and beginning of August. We ran about an 8-day program, 2 of those days having to do with capturing kids' hearts training. So from July 19th through August 1st, we spent a lot of time with the new teachers to our district and new to teaching, the teaching profession. We did run it virtually this year. We had planned to do it in person, but we wanted to make sure that everybody did not get COVID right before school opened. So we went with the safer than sorrier route. So we did it virtually this year, and hopefully next year we can be back to in person. This year we planned on, we hit some pretty big topics with our new teachers this year. We did universal design for learning, capturing kids' hearts, positive behavior interventions and supports, and social emotional learning were kind of our topics for the year that included, for the training that included showing teachers how to do lesson planning, how to set up their classrooms and create a behavior plan, how to collaborate and plan with their teams. And we gave them some actual time to do that, both with us and at their sites as well. Who we served in these few days with our new teachers, we had a good mix of multiple subject or elementary teachers, single subject middle school teachers, and education specialists, special education teachers. And you'll see at the bottom of this, the ISP versus preliminary. Just so you know, ISP is our intern, STIPS, and PIPS credentialed teachers. They're on a temporary or intern permit. And then our preliminary teachers are the teachers who are in our induction program earning their clear credential. And Renee's going to talk about that a little bit more. So we want to share with you a little bit of feedback because it's one thing to train folks for a minute, but it's another to actually hear from them on how well did it work? Are they able to apply what they've learned? So we're really excited to report some feedback from the teachers who participated. First of all, we asked them, would you recommend this to other new teachers? And by and large, the vast majority of them said absolutely. So very thrilled with that. They reported that most of them found it extremely effective. So that's always good to hear. And then we asked them some more, pointed questions. So what did you find most useful? I'll let you kind of read this slide, but some things to point out here. They really appreciated how to use community circles, how to do lesson planning, how to implement CKH, capturing kids' hearts, how to set up behavior systems in their classroom. So lots of good things that they reported in terms of what they found useful. We always like to ask, what can we do better? And you'll see that a couple times in the next couple slides. It might be helpful if the following could be different. They said something about drinking from the fire hose or drinking from the water hose, very hard. And this is always true, especially with our new teachers. So it's a lot of information at one time. But what they've come to learn throughout the years that we provide it here kind of as an initial exposure, and then we come back and revisit the training and the information throughout the year. So they are supported throughout the year. I learned how to use a whole bunch of stuff. iReady, Ignite, YAG, which is their pacing guides, Power School. But I think the thing that is most appropriate is I learned how to build strong relationships with students. That was really powerful. They made a couple suggestions for how to make this a little bit better next year. They made some suggestions. They wanted some free lunches. It's a great suggestion. We were able to do that one time, but clearly we can't provide free lunch every day. But it does make for some wonderful time to be together and go over the learning. But the big thing here is making the Academy a 2-week induction. What that tells us is they enjoyed this time and it wasn't long enough. Clearly, we're not going to be able to make this a 2 or 3 week program, but we are extending the learning throughout the year. So it means a lot to us to know that they're getting a lot out of it and they would love more time to kind of soak it in. Now that the school year has started, this was really important. We asked this question after the New Teacher Summer Academy was over and done with, and once they had started school. So now that the school year has started, what has been the most beneficial learning from New Teacher Summer Academy? This was very important and impactful for me. Behavior management, they got a lot out of that in terms of setting up their classrooms. CKH Plan Book and Teacher Clarity, which is the instruction side of the house. So they got a lot out of how to build instruction, how to design lesson plans, and set up their classroom. So yay, yay for us. And now I would like to turn it over to Renee to share with you some program data and some next steps for our accreditation process.
Thank you. Got to put it down for the short girl. Sorry. Okay, so we'll start off tonight with really quick reviewing our different kinds of credentials, just so you know who we are talking about as we go through the next couple of graphs. Our first credential type is our preliminary. Those are our teachers who are participating in the induction program. They have a preliminary credential. It's official with the CTC. Behind that comes our internship. It is a credential from the CTC as well. It is good for 2 years. Then we have our emergency credentials, our short-term permit, and our provisional intern permits. That's where the name ISP comes from. So when we refer to the ISP teachers, it's either an intern, a STIP, or a PIP. Their programs are very similar in the ways that we support them, so we have chosen to group them together, and they are separate from our induction folks that we support as well. So you can see here a history of our new teachers. We went back 2019 in induction, we had 62. And we had, I have to put my glasses on, excuse me, 65 ISP teachers. 2021, we had 86 and 46 ISP teachers. And this is where we instituted our cohorts because our program is so big, we could not handle just 2 groups. We had to spread it out. The CTC changed the rules. There's all these things that went on in the background, but you can see our 86 to 86 from 2020 to 2021. We moved our ISPs up into induction to be supported a little bit early. So that's why the number didn't change from 2020 to 2021. And then from last year to this year, we've gone from 86 induction folks to 95, and our ISPs are holding steady at 68. So growing and growing and growing. It's hard to see this on the screen. I'm aware. I apologize. As you can see, this is the breakdown by site. We have 95 induction candidates, and this does include our candidates. We are a consortium with the Eastside School District. So we have 16 candidates from Eastside, and they are part of our number 95. We have 68 ISP teachers. As you can see, we have some sites that are more impacted than others. And this is our list: New Vista, Paiute, El Dorado, Joshua. We work with administrators, we work with the teachers to provide an extra layer of support at our schools that have a large number of new teachers. We all know we had a mentor shortage there. We still do. Mentoring is the thankless, most important job out there on some days, for sure. So a lot at the beginning of the year of our mentors were carrying 2 and sometimes 3 people. We know that that is not our best practice. It is not what we like to do. We like a 1-to-1 ratio so that they can get the full attention of their mentor and amount of time spent. We don't have that luxury right now. Well, we didn't. And that is one of our goals. We'll talk about in a minute how we were able to address that problem. So this is our ISP mentor caseload. These are our teachers that have to have a mentor on site. Induction has to be hired. We have to interview. They can come from whatever site. But for our interns, it's important that they are on the same site so that they're speaking. They have so much to learn, and it's easier for the intern or the STIP or the PIP to be on the same side as their mentor in many, many ways. So we have a couple of goals we'd like to share with you that are happening for us this year. Our first main goal was at the start of the year was to hire some highly qualified mentors to relieve our caseloads and the people who were very impacted. And we did this. We completed our hiring process, and we were lucky enough to hire 20 new mentors. Whenever we hire, it seems we don't get the people we really need, like we needed social studies and science, and we didn't get those. But I got a lot of kindergarten and second grade. So, it kind of evens itself out. So we are still looking for some upper grade mentors, but we are okay where we're at now. It looks a lot better on our mentor caseloads. Our second goal this year is to sail with flying colors through our accreditation visit. It's been a 7-year process. We are in year 7. Here they come. We're ready. We've been working long and hard. We've created, as we run this program, we create evidence to support and to show the support that we have for our teachers. And it's similar to the WASC process. If you've been through that, we provide all the evidence. The team comes in to ensure that we're not just writing words on paper, that we're actually doing what we say. And so they're here to determine that we've met our accreditation process, that we've supported our teachers in the way that we've said, and it's going to be great. There's a lot that goes with this. So we've had to, you can see up here, build a website. The website is not public. It is for the state. It is for anybody here who would like to look at it. It's very wordy because we have to provide all the evidence in all the ways that we meet the standards, support the teachers, and meet the accreditation cycle. So it's quite a beast of a website, but the link is there if you'd like to go look at it. Please be aware that it's a work in progress. We are constantly updating, constantly adding evidence that they're requesting, just to make sure that all of our ducks are in a row before the team gets here. So the link is there if you would like it. Very important and bold up there. Our site visit is actually scheduled for February 28th through March 1st. They will be here. Usually they send a team from the state, 3 to 5 people. We're a small program in the world of induction, so it will probably be just 3. We do have to provide them hotels, food, rooms to work, rooms for interviews. There's a lot of planning that goes into the backside of this. That makes everybody a little bit more stressed, but we got a survey that asked if we'd prefer to be virtual or in person, and we picked virtual because that's a lot easier. So we'll see what comes of that down the road. So who participates in the interview? All of you over there are going to participate in the interview. Day 1 is Monday, February 27th, where they are going to interview all of you, pretty much. And day 2, they'll do some more interviews. They don't usually interview on day 3. Day 3 is the day they will report out to us their findings. They report their findings. It doesn't become official until they actually report it to the Committee on Accreditation. But when they leave on the 3rd, we know if everything is well, and everything will be well. So I'm not worried about that. But there's a lot of you that will be interviewed, and thank you in advance. We appreciate your time. That's all we have. Thank you very much for supporting our new teachers. They really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Great presentation.
Any questions?
That's a lot of work. I mean, 7 years worth. Congratulations. Look forward to the finalization of that. I know I remember my first mentor like 20 or so years ago at Challenger Middle School. And I don't know if I'd still be here if I didn't have that mentor. So I know how important the mentors are, and just helping teachers get on the right track and getting started, and look like great reports. And it's neat to see the program, really working strong. So keep it up. Good job.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right. Great presentation. Thank you. Okay, next we have our school plan for student achievement by Dr. Jordan Goins, Director of Continuous Improvement, Compliance, and Accountability.
First of all, I want to say thank you and Good evening, and I'm looking forward to being able to give you an opportunity to kind of understand the outline of what the movement moving forward in terms of our school plans for student achievement and how that's going to be looking moving into the 22-23 school year. We're in the 22-23 school year, correct? Yes, 22-23 school year. So we're going to be focusing on this particular piece, and I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to provide it. Kind of an important piece to this puzzle, and it's ironic that this particular presentation follows both our budget, because this part of this plan is tightly tied to the budget. And same thing with the instruction, meaning that we've changed this plan in many different ways to create a very strategic opportunity for our school sites to do great things for our students. So to begin with, I wanted just to give a general outline as to what some of the legal requirements to the school plan happen to be. It's a couple of pieces that are absolutely essential, i.e. Something's got to happen. It's pieces that we need to make sure that are in place. That presence of a school site council, making sure that when we're looking at these plans, our school site councils are taking an active piece of this and having that opportunity to build them. But in Lancaster School District, we obviously do that, but we also have another piece to this that's extremely important for our principals, called instructional leadership teams, or ILTs. These ILTs are responsible for building and putting together all the great things that they see happening throughout the school and all the things that they can see to be able to build the program that's as best they can for kids, given the resources that they're provided from both the state and other areas. So we in our district provide for a wide variety of resources within our school plans. A couple pieces being for funding happen to be our Title I money, which is the big piece, the big reason behind a school plan is our Title I dollars. But then we also involve our supplemental concentration dollars, like Ms. Alatorre was talking about, as well as our base funds, which allow for those basic things to happen, furniture, textbooks, making sure that we have the right pieces in the right places. So that's extremely and vitally important. So another reason as to why we are required by law to make sure that we have these school plans is the consolidated application. So we want to make sure that because we receive federal funds, any school that receives federal funds in this particular situation, Title I dollars, that means that we have to write a school plan for that. That school plan has to have all Title I funds within that plan. So that's kind of the big idea behind this. So the school plan is part of a bigger system within Lancaster School District. You'll see that we have a strategic plan that we've had for years and years and years. This year, over the last couple of years, we've combined our strategic plan and our local control and accountability plan to be a singular plan. And from there, the school plans develop within. So there's a significant alignment all the way up the system. But the key to this slide that I want to make sure we point out is the fact that the school plan is the plan at the middle. That is the plan that is closest to kids. It's locally developed by the school site, and it's provided for by the families, the staff, and the staff meaning both our classified and our certificated staff. So our teachers, and then our janitors, our people that are doing that work, our computer techs, our people that are doing all of that hard work. And then on top of that, it's developed through usually the school principal, the vice principal, and administration, but always tied very tightly to the whole staff. The purpose of the SIPSA is to be able to tell the story of the school. The first page of the school plan actually is called The Story, which provides for the data. It provides for where are we coming, what's the school look like? It gives the principal and the ILT the opportunity to be able to really speak to the heart and soul of the school. We have schools that inside of their school plan will put in the fact that they are strong in the media arts. Dual language. We have schools that are focusing at the middle level at career and college readiness, focusing on AVID programs, pieces like that, and they highlight those pieces in the school plan. So that's a significant piece of that work that they put into this. It's about improving all of these. Everything that we put into the school plan is all about improving achievement for our kids. That's the goal of the school plan, and also local solutions to the local education environment. Knowing that each school has their own barriers that they have to surmount, they have to get around, or they have to climb. This plan is the way in which they're going to climb that hill to be able to make something great at the school site. So this year, there's a couple of modifications to the school plan. This year, you're not going to see all of these modifications, but you're going to start to see them towards the beginning of moving into the next year. And I wanted to prepare you for that. We have 4 goals in the school plan, just like we've had in the LCAP. This year, if you'll remember, we opened up the LCAP to include a 5th goal, to include our UTK program, our Universal Transitional Kindergarten program, to be able to provide funding and sustainability towards that program. So you've got this long and wide range of what we do in terms of academics, equitable learning environments, being able to create safe and supportive learning environments, and as well as also being able to create family and community engagement opportunities for our people. So some further modifications to our SIPSA. Up until COVID, we've been on a spring rotation where in the springtime, I usually come up around April, May. Our principals would come up. Sometimes they would present, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes they would provide you with an executive summary to the school plan. This is something that we are continuing, and although we're getting ready to start sending you the 22-23 school plans, 23-24 school plans are not far behind. Imagine that in the spring of this year, you're going to start to see our fall plans for the 23-24 school year. Because we know that going into the school year, we need to be in a position to be able to start the school year with a plan. Over the past couple of years, we've backed off and we've been able to give the principals a summer to work with their communities and to be able to finish things off. We are moving back to that spring rotation, moving into the next plan. Another huge piece to this is that this is a living document. Throughout the school year, it's built. Teams go out to meet with principals, go out to meet with instructional leadership teams, walk classrooms, work with the principals to help build those plans. And when we're doing that, we're sitting down and we're actually talking about what possible modifications might come about with that particular plan that they have at their school site. So the plan consistently changes so that by the time we hit that spring rotation, all it is a click the button, we're turning it in, making sure that we're allocating monies effectively to be able to make sure that we're doing the right thing by kids. So the pathway to you. The school leadership team works with the school site council. So important to know that there's a couple of things that happen prior to the plan getting to you. You've got a school site council that some of you actually sat on at one point. That school site council works with the school principal and the school administration as well as the instructional leadership team to get that plan put together. They review the plan and they have to approve the plan before it actually comes to you for approval. The Department of Continuous Improvement, that's my department, reviews the SIPSA for accountability to make sure all the required pieces are in, but we take it a step further. We just don't talk about accountability and compliance in continuous improvement. We talk about trying to tweak it, make it a better plan. So sometimes those plans don't make it to you in a first draft. Sometimes it's taken iterations of plans before they can get it to, before it crosses the threshold of the board. So after the initial review, we usually have a cabinet team who's going to start meeting with the principal regarding the plan. That cabinet team generally includes myself, moving in and working with the principals to be able to implement that plan to get it going and making sure that it's going strong. And then we also, when the SIPS is refined and ready for board approval, it's sent to the board and it's approved, and we hit the ground running for the next school year. After board approval, what we end up doing is we end up implementing this plan. And this is where the cabinet team really steps up. Our visits have to come in. We start working with, asking questions, focusing around equitable communities, focusing around building sustainable environments, making sure that family engagement that we're working with family engagement, as well as building in our academic programs to make sure they're as strong as possible. Really focusing on the social emotional piece as well as behaviors to try to see what we can focus on, as those are huge pieces of the LCAP. They also find themselves in a deep place in terms of the school plan. So finally, a couple of pieces I just wanted to make sure we pointed out here, that this is not a compliance document. Although it's a requirement, it's not just a compliance document. It is a living document. It's living and breathing. It's like the constitution of the school. It's it continues to live and breathe, and it can be changed and it can be modified, and something to be able to meet the needs of the school, the staff, the families at any one point in time. And that's what the school site council is for. That's why school site councils are so important, and that's why we focus. I even went to back to school nights, and I was sitting there trying to get parents to sign up for school site councils because they are so important. It's an authentic response to site needs. It's members of the school site have a depth of knowledge of the SIPSA that exceeds past just a basic understanding. So now what we're focusing on as we move this plan into the future is the fact that this plan will consistently be something that the site knows about. In the past, it's been a plan, sign off on it, put it on a shelf, and it sits there. That hasn't happened in quite a while. Now this is a plan that is a living and breathing document that is consistently being changed, consistently being worked with, and consistently being measured and looked at back and forth. Shared leadership, shared responsibility. We know that we cannot have a plan that sits with one human being. It has to sit with a group of people. Generally speaking, here it sits with our instructional leadership teams as well as the rest of the staff. Ongoing support, monitoring throughout the school year from site leadership and the cabinet members. We call this reciprocal accountability. This means that I'm accountable to the sites, just like the sites are accountable to us. The sites are accountable to the district as well as the community itself. We all have to have skin in the game, I guess you would say, in this particular term, to make sure that we're really focusing and building the sites that we can build in Lancaster. And then finally, increased role of the school site council with the school environment. We want to make sure that the school site council has a strong, they're the governing board of each individual school. So we try to make sure so we really focus on trying to build that particular piece up, and that happens as well. So with that, always like to leave this with a quote: "Nothing great ever really happens on accident." You have to plan for it. And we know that that's extremely important. I think I've actually told you this a couple of times. I say this is unknown. This was not unknown. This is actually a quote from my own father, and I'm going to give him credit for it right now. I was just in the office with Dr. Marietti, and I actually said this is one of the quotes that he actually gave. You got to make sure you're thinking about what you're trying to do. You can't nothing good just happens. You have to make sure you plan for it. So with that said, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. First, I wanted to open up Keith or Mr. Wynn. So it looks like the school site councils are going to take a more active role in getting community input for the plans, which I think is a fantastic plan. And then I was wondering, are you going to also still have like those community forums that we've had in the past, or do you have any other plans for community input?
So absolutely. We have various plans for community input. I think a couple of things have already crossed your desk, or across the board's desk, coming from our superintendent. Thought exchange is one huge piece that's going to be used for gathering community input. We're also going to be doing, community forums, community family nights, those pieces. I go out to those. I get out to as many community events as I can get to, and solicit information any way I can solicit it.
And then you mentioned that the two plans kind of were able to combine them into one plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are they two separate plans still, but they work cohesively, or do they have a new name?
So when we talk about the strategic plan lists out the goals, the big idea, the vision of the district. So you remember going over this maybe 2 years ago with myself and one of our representatives, Ms. Wetzel. Focus on the idea of building in the beliefs. That's what the board would say that the beliefs of the community are. That's the strategic piece of it. The LCAP makes that actionable. So in the past we've included it, but we realize that there's a need to be able to have two separate pieces. The local control and accountability plan actually puts dollars and cents to the strategic plan. So the goals will be listed out in the strategic plan, carried over into the LCAP. Dollars and cents will be put to those particular pieces, along with actions and specific actions that are going to carry forward. And then from those actions, and this is the cool part, from those actions, I mean, I guess like Ms. Alatorre would say, this is kind of my baby, right? So from when you take it back to this particular piece, it sits back, and what this piece is like it's the actual actions at the school site level. And it's exactly how the school site is going to interpret an action from the LCAP to make it actionable at the school site.
Yeah, that explains it a lot. I give a credit to a lot for helping us understand the whole goal process and making us understand it's a continuous process. And so I think that's really helped us in our district to plan for the future. And like you said, things don't happen by accident. So we've had a lot of really good plans that people have come up with and been able to implement them. And also, to everyone's credit too, I'm glad to see that we're keeping some of the plans going, like the Capturing Kids' Hearts, AVID, and a lot of those good plans. We're just keeping them going and keeping focused on them. So great work with that. Again, it's a continuous thing. So thank you for bringing it to the board to keep us updated on it. And are we going to be getting a schedule for like when the different parts are going to happen?
You will start seeing plans coming in from school sites between the end of September into October and probably beginning of November is the goal to be as done as possible. But that again, I want to make sure that I'm very intentional about this. There will be plans that once received will be scrutinized. Not for their quality, but really for the small stuff, because we're really trying to make sure that they are strong plans. I want a plan that's going to be able to withstand the test of time for that school. And on top of that, for that school to be able to use years as they move forward. It makes their jobs a lot more meaningful and makes the plan a lot more meaningful. And it truly puts the school site in the driver's seat of school improvement.
All right. Great work.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Goins,
Yes, sir.
I know a few years ago you presented this. We were sitting in the one of the schools at one of our meetings, and what I liked about it is similar to what you're talking about here, and that is you want to shake the tree from the bottom.
Yep.
You want to keep the school site council, the teachers, and those that are shaking the tree or have the knowledge of what's going on at each school. And hopefully that will, embrace this whole SIPSA program.
Oh, absolutely. I add in one more educational partner that we have to make sure we can't forget, and that's our families, because our families are that's the beginning of it all. So we need to make sure that's one piece I add to that statement from years back. Took some time to figure it out, but I got it.
Thank you.
I figured it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And with that concludes our presentations. So next we'll go to item 12, individual action items. Superintendent, we have 12A, adoption of resolution 2022-23-9, board compensation for missed meetings for Diane Grooms. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Giles, second by Mr. Nguyen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next, we have item 12B, approval to name library at Sunnydale Elementary as a Carolyn Mellick Library. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Nguyen, second by Mr. Giles. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Do we have any comments or new library?
So there was a request to rename the library after Carol. Carol spent her life as a dedicated mother, grandmother, professional educator. She spent 34 years teaching third grade at Sunnydale Elementary School in Lancaster. She lived her life in service of the many children she taught during that 35-year career in public education. She's a passionate teacher who always put her students first. She believed in instilling lifelong passion for learning and literacy with her students, and not just in her classroom, but with all the students at Sunnydale. She always taught that reading was crucial for a successful education, and she truly lived a life to its fullest through teaching, reading, traveling, and spending time with her grandchildren. So in honor of her service, the staff at Sunnydale Elementary School has requested that the Lancaster Elementary School Board approve renaming Sunnydale Library the Carol Mellick Library. That's a little bit about her. That came from Sunnydale.
Awesome. Very amazing individual. And her contributions are going to be felt for many, many years to come. So we're honored to be able to name that library after her. Great job. Okay, next we have item 13, individual action items business. So 13A, adoption of resolution number 2022-2305 regarding committed fund balance for UTK 19 classroom startup. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next, we have item 13B, adoption of resolution number 2022-2306 regarding committed fund balance for HVAC replacement phase 4.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Wynn, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion?
Yes. I'm for the continued pursuit of getting air conditioning systems in our schools, some of the older ones especially, is a welcome by staff, teachers, students. So thank you, Larry, for pursuing this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we had to watch a volleyball game at the high school district. That the air AC was not working, and the opposing team, after the game, put on their website, "We're looking forward to playing in our own gym next week with our nice, cool gym." So it definitely goes a long way. So
Tactic, probably.
yeah.
Desert rats out here.
So yeah, thanks for staying on top of that. Okay, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next, we have item 13C, adoption of resolution number 2022-2307 regarding committed fund balance for early literacy support. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And next we have item 4, adoption of resolution number 2022-2308 regarding committed fund balance for technology replacement. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Wynn, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. All right, next we have item 14, individual action items, human resources. 14A, approval of personnel action certificated number 4. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles,
Second.
second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion?
Maybe.
I believe, is this a conflict of interest for something?
Yes. So Mr. Wynn's daughter is on that board agenda item two different times.
So we won't be able.
We better pull it then, because
We're gonna have to pull.
let's just pull it.
Have a quorum to-
Yeah.
Okay.
Fail for lack of a quorum.
So due to a lack of a quorum, we're going to pull item 14A for a future vote.
Good catch.
Jerry in the back.
Is that what I thought I heard? That.
And that brings us to item 14B, approval of variable term waiver for the 2022-23 school year. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that one.
Moved by Mr. Giles. A second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And that brings us to item 15, addressing the board. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it to the superintendent. and any supporting documents to the deputy superintendent. Personnel information such as a student, parent, guardian's name, address, phone number, date of birth, email address, or other directory information as defined in Ed Code 49061 may be excluded from the minutes of the meeting by submitting a written request to the superintendent. The board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once that item has been moved, seconded, and is on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per item shall be allowed, according to Board Bylaws 9322. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda per the Brown Act. With that, do we have comments from PTA? CSEA? Cal? And comments from the audience?
Yes, we have Barbara Long. Okay, well, we can go to the next person. That's okay. We have Christine Parkins. Mark,
What's that?
are you speaking for Christine?
I'm identifying as Christine.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That took less than 15 seconds to recite. Less than 1 minute to stand, recite, and sit back down. Now I ask, why would you disregard California Education Codes 52720 and 52730? California Education Code 52720. In every public elementary school, each day during the school year at the beginning of the first regularly scheduled class or activity period at which the majority of the pupils of the school normally begin their school day, there shall be conducted appropriate patriotic exercises. The giving of the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America shall satisfy the requirements of this section. California Education Code 52730, subsection A, providing instruction that promotes understanding the concepts of pledge, allegiance, republic, indivisible, and understanding the importance of the Pledge of Allegiance as an expression of patriotism, love of country, and pride in the United States of America shall satisfy the requirements of Education Code 52730. 52730, subsection B, when pupils in a public school are instructed with regard to the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America as part of the patriotic exercises conducted pursuant to this article, that public school shall provide a combination of giving the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the instructions specified in subsection A. School districts shall provide this instruction during the time allotted for this patriotic exercise. It has come to parents' understanding that some schools, if not the district itself, has decided to violate California Education Code 52720 and 52730 by only reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one time per week. I question the blatant disregard of required curriculum and the violation of education codes. The current version of the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States must be recited each and every school day
30 seconds.
without disruptions in the classroom throughout the school year. If you have time to teach gender affirmation, then you have more than adequate time to recite the Pledge of Allegiance along the way. Educators have decided to draw up their own ideas of what the curriculum should be and have been teaching it as they see fit. Well, I'm here to inform you that parents' eyes are opening up. And I'll just add a comment that I sure do wish I could get paid for missing a meeting at work.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Barbara Long.
You guys stay right here. Hello, school board. As always, thank you for letting us talk to you tonight. What I have to say will be really short. In both the meetings with Dr. Moretta and Mrs. Thompson, we discussed the sex ed curriculum, how we're losing qualified teachers, the Department of Education, and how our hands are tied, and how you'll lose funding if you don't teach the sex ed curriculum and do things the way they tell you. So I don't know what it's like to be at your end of this dilemma. Over the past year, I've been trying really hard to understand. The words "our hands are tied" echo over and over in my head. I've been on the DOE website, and it appears that way. However, there are many other districts that are standing up to them and winning. Since I was here the last time, I learned of a few people that are doing just that. I thought I'd share with you so you can get some possible help, providing you want it. There's a program on Rumble called Liberty Station. They're on Monday through Friday. And episode 113, I learned of Rebecca Fredericks. She was a teacher for many, many years, and she's put together a film called Whose Children Are They? And Lance Christensen, who's running for state superintendent of schools. They're fighting against the education mafia. So this is for any educator who might be listening tonight. You can stand up. There's help. We've heard from parents outside of these meetings that people listen a lot online, more than what we knew, and people are starting to wake up. So I'm sad that they don't come here, but at least we're raising attention. I purchased the movie Whose Kids Are They? And I'd be happy to share it with anyone who'd like to see it. The websites of the two people mentioned here are Lance, it's LanceChristsensen.com, and forkidsandcountry.org. And the Rumble episode again is on Liberty Station. It's episode 113. I went to the Lancaster School District website and found the link of podcasts that Miss Cooksey that you host. I've only listened to 2 so far.
30 seconds.
But I listened to Mrs. Grooms, and she mentioned something about church, and then when I did my meeting with Dr. Moretta, you talked about your faith background. And, I don't know who on this board has a faith background and who doesn't. I'm hoping that everybody does. But I believe that it's with faith that we can turn this around. I've heard a lot of good things that are going on in this school district tonight. And over this past year of coming to these board meetings and stuff, there's good stuff, but it's tainted with this ugly
Your time is expired.
stuff. Thank you. Come on. That was a good place for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for not kicking us out.
Jaylene Davidson.
Hello, board members. I come before you again tonight because she had mentioned that there's some good things going on in the district, and that may be true, but they're long overdue, and they've taken a long time to get here, and we're still not where we need to be. I am watching parents fight for their children, to protect their children, to protect other children. And then I sit back and I watch still some teachers and board members, and I don't care if you want to say LA County, and even parents make excuses. Just like she mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance. That's actually a state law in California. It does state that kids do not have to participate, but it says they are to sit in their seats quietly if they do not want to participate. And if they are a disruption, then they are to leave the class. Thank you, by the way, for pointing that out to me. That's not happening. Yes, you have addressed it with more schools, but it's still not happening. Kids that are disruptive are not being asked to leave the class. Every time I turn around, there's always an excuse. Somebody always has an excuse. It always starts at home. It starts with the parents, and I encourage every parent to get involved. They're starting these programs that actually allow you to get involved. Every parent should get involved. Every parent should see what's happening in their school, in their class. There should be accountability. There should not come a time where you have to decide if a teacher's telling the truth, a parent's telling the truth, a child's telling the truth, or board members telling the truth. There needs to be accountability. Now, if trust is an issue, then maybe we have to look into finding a way to make that accountability be so that you can know the truth. You have given me another excuse that when that happens, eventually it all comes to light. The problem is the word eventually. What happens in the meantime? How much damage is done in the meantime?
30 seconds.
Wait for it to actually rear its head. I'm going to plead again tonight. Parents, get involved. Take your accountability back. Make each person accountable for what they do, whether it's an adult, a board member, a child. Accountability is a real thing, and it needs to surface once again.
Thank you. And that concludes our comments for tonight. Next, we have item 16, consent agenda item superintendent, item 16A to 16H. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Nguyen, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion?
The board policy regarding charter school oversight and charter school renewal, are those being monitored by one of the directors or assistant superintendents?
I believe we do have some oversight over our charter schools. Do we know?
Dr. Goins oversees all of our charter school work.
There he is.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, just want to say I'm really pleased to see the proclamation for Patriots Day and Constitution Month and Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm looking forward to seeing all the activities at the school sites for those. Great job on those. All right, any further discussion? Okay, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motions carry 3-0. Okay, next we have items 17A to 17G, consent agenda items business. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion?
No.
Go ahead, Keith.
No, it's okay. Just the name is funny. Awkward silence. Is that DJ? Probably used it before.
All right. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. And that is pretty creative there. Okay, next we have item 18, consent agenda items, educational services, items 18A to 18V. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Nguyen, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion?
just to be sure that we continue to support item H, Family Leadership, Inc., and the Parenting Partners. That is an excellent opportunity for our parents to get involved at their school for their students. So it's a great thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks like we're continuing a lot of good programs there. Great to see that. All right, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried 3-0. Item 19, consent agenda items, human resources services, items 19A to 19E. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion? Okay, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried 3-0. I know it's important to have those working relationships with the universities, especially this time. So great to see that. Okay, next we have item 20, consent agenda items, innovation and technology services, items 20A to 20E. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion?
The ELO funding, is that part of what Isabella was explaining tonight, Rebecca?
It's part of the funds we get. It's ongoing funds for the after-school program, well, actually the extended year program, which creates our school day to be 9 hours long. So we have to have programs for kids that they'll find interesting, like yoga and drumming, those kind of things.
But yes, Mr. Nguyen, those are restricted funds. Only be spent on those particular items.
Can only be spent for the after-school
That is correct.
9-hour classes. Because it seemed high price for drumming.
It is. So what it is they have, they bill us every 2 weeks. They have up to that much money if they can come and have instructors to do the drumming with the children, have the equipment. So that much money is set aside for that program, but they have to bill us every 2 weeks. So we don't just hand them that money. They have to earn it.
Is that the one with the buckets?
Oh, he comes in with a whole drum set and little drum pads, and they have a great time.
The bucket one's pretty cool too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, we had a come to an assembly, a drum assembly, and that was probably one of our best attended and best, most engaging assemblies that we had. He had parents and kids up there drumming, and it was impressive. So
everybody likes to drum.
Yeah. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried 3-0. Next, we have 21, legislative and policy discussion. Any discussion on any of these items? Okay. With that, we'll move on to comments from the board and superintendent, Mr. Giles.
Okay. Well, thank everybody that's still here for hanging out. It's been fun. Now I'm finally catching my second wind. Now I'm awake now. Back still hurts, but I'll maybe make it home. Congratulations to Linda Green for the single ACES award winner. That's cool to have the whole spotlight to yourself. Thanks, Rebecca, for the good news about having build up our enrollment a little bit. Thanks for the budget update, Isabel. That was really good. Krista and forgot, drew a blank. Yeah, Renee, for the new teacher support update, and Dr. Goins for the school plan and then student achievement update. And to all our speakers, thanks for coming in and caring enough about our kids to stand up for them. And I appreciate that. As being a parent of kids in the district, it's a different world, seems like now, but I'm pretty sure our kids do say the pledge, but I have to double check with them. But yeah, okay, very good. And with that, there was something I was going to say. We had a good time at the back to school night, or is that what we call it? I always mixed, get them mixed up. But it was, I went to two of them, and they both were well attended, and everybody seemed like they were having a good time. Parking was an issue, but if you know how to sneak around, parking is not a problem. But I have my special places, so can't tell you, but I found a place to park. Anyway, thank you guys, and with that, I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Mr. Giles. And Mr. Wynn.
Yeah, not too many things tonight. Rebecca, attendance 601. You said?
Yeah, so that was children that weren't in the seats, and schools called kids and said, hey, come back to school. So we got 601 students in addition to what we had at the beginning of the year.
That's outstanding. That is really outstanding. To be back up to the 14,400 mark, it has a lot to do with the district itself. I mentioned earlier about people talking about our district, and my niece goes to Embry-Riddle University in Arizona. She's a electronics engineer major, and she started as a freshman just 3 weeks ago. She came home this weekend for the long weekend. And I'll tell you what, this is what she said. Uncle Dwayne, our schools in Lancaster are the best. She says, I can't tell you what all of the other students in my classroom didn't know. She says they're starting Lego in freshman year of college. She says, I've had to tutor some of the other kids in the class in chemistry. And she says, well, it's because I learned it. I had Lego in 6th grade. She said, I've had chemistry in high school, but she said, it all started in the Lancaster School District. So thank you to all of our staff, teachers, administrators, and from the top down, from Dr. Mariotti down. Thank you very much. It was very nice having a Sunnydale principal and vice principal here. And my daughter, Amanda Marsh, who nominated Linda Green from Sunnydale for the ACES Award. And even more than that, to take it to Carolyn Mellick from Sunnydale, who now is in name, the library is named after her over there. So it was a great meeting for Sunnydale tonight.
Yeah, it was.
Jordan, thank you. Keep the bottom up. Keep the bottom shaking the tree, because that's how everybody learns. Is once they get shook, they'll learn. And I think the school site councils, the PTAs, the PTOs, and those organizations at the school district, they're all important, and will all help in these CAAASP test scores. I think that's it anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And yeah, great reports tonight. It's neat to see the attendance up and the financials are looking fantastic, especially from even just a year ago. So a lot of great work that we've been doing in our district and at all levels, administrators, superintendent, staff, principals, teachers, classified. Everyone has really been pulling their weight and helping their schools get off to a great start this year. It's great to hear about the back to school nights. The parents are getting back on campus, getting involved with their kids. And we do encourage all the parents to get involved at their school sites, at school site council if they can, and or parent teacher PTA organizations. We want you on our school sites and we want you involved. So I want to thank the parents that have been coming to our school board meetings and speaking out on behalf of their kids, and also the teachers and parents that are watching school board meetings and getting involved that way too. It's great to see our school site plan is moving along, and we're continuing to do what's best for the education of our students. And also that we're supporting our new teachers. We want our new teachers to know that we're here for them, we're supporting them, and we'll do whatever we can, what it takes to help them be successful. It's great to see our unaudited actuals and our budget update, that we're going to be have positive ending balance for the next 3 years. So I'm really excited to report that to the county and to the state. So with that, great meeting. Everyone keep up the great work. And Dr. Marietti.
Thank you. So I want to congratulate Linda Green. I did ask if she could be transferred to Linda Verde because I just thought that would be a great place. But they want to keep her at Sunnydale, so that's okay. We'll keep her there. She's doing a great job. I did go to a lot of the back to school nights, and it was great to see parents back on our campuses. The excitement, the classrooms looked great. The teachers were engaging and sharing what they were doing in their classroom. So it was just a great event to go to, and that was on across the campuses I visited. So that was outstanding. I do want to say that, having the opportunity to sit in our cabinet every Tuesday morning, I want to acknowledge the great work that all of our directors, our assistant superintendents do in this district. They truly care about children. They truly care about leadership in our district and serving as servant leaders. They are passionate about what they do. In this time, we haven't faced a challenge like this in the last several years. Have been very challenging. This has been very, very difficult work, and this work is going to continue to be difficult. In my 30 years in education, I don't think I've faced a time that has been more of a challenge. And all of these individuals have stepped up. They truly care about this district. They truly care about the children. So I just want to thank all of them for what they do for Lancaster School District. They do an outstanding job, and they deserve our trust. They absolutely do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, all of you, for being involved and sticking with us throughout the meeting. And there was nothing to go into closed session for. So with that, we are going to adjourn at 7:43. Do we have a motion? So moved. Second. Moved by Mr. Wynn, second by Mr. Giles. And with that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Have a good night, everyone.